Welcome to the virtual career fair hosted by the Sustainable Community Aid Network, featuring an interview with Pediatrician Dr. Olumide.
So why don't you start off by introducing yourself and what you do for a living?
My name is Dr. Richard Olumide Oyefeso. I am a pediatrician by heart, and I'm also an advocate for children, the poor, and the needy. I think that would be the simple summary of it.
Yeah. So what does a typical day look like as a pediatrician?
So it all depends on what I have set out for the day, but I often work in the hospital and as well as in the clinic. So what I do is I usually will start off in the morning. I get to start my day seeing babies. And so I see little babies in the hospital after they've been born. And I would say it's actually perhaps my favorite part of the day, because you get to see babies, their innocence, their beauty, and that becomes a very pleasurable way to start the day. And ushering in new life in the world is a very special thing. And I go on to see other kids who are admitted in the hospital for different reasons, and then move on to the clinic, where I see patients in the clinic alongside their parents. So the beauty of what I do is being able to care for young people when they're most vulnerable, so to speak, and get to nurse them back to health, able to see their progress, and also able to walk alongside their families as they grow. So that's kind of, I would say, like a synopsis of how the day looks like.
Yeah, so why did you want to become a pediatrician? What inspired you?
Yeah, that's a good question. Initially, I started out seeing everyone, so to speak. I started out as a general practitioner, and actually before then, during the time of my internship, I had a special draw or an attraction to pediatrics, whereby you see these young children, they're sick, families are worried and concerned, and then you get to be a part of the process of their healing, almost literally like a transformation, to watch them go from illness to health. And the beauty of it was also how the children responded. There was just something beautiful about a child, and when it was evidently clear that they were doing well, it was something so special to see. And I think that was my biggest attraction. And also the fact that they're actually quite vulnerable was something that meant a lot to me, and to be a part of supporting their health and also supporting their families is what I found most interesting. And I should add that, no offense to adults, many adults oftentimes have chronic illnesses that don't end or that can't be healed, that are best managed. In pediatrics, we most of the time get to cure the child of their ailments, and I found that special as well.
So what did your pathway look like to become a pediatrician? What did you have to do in your schooling to get to where you are today?
So I of course, like everyone, your basic education, your elementary school, high school, and then off to university. And I know you have people do a first degree and then they later specialize. But I was fortunate enough to go through a system whereby we had a compact period, whereby for 6-7 years, we went through university, and went through medical school as a composite of that. And at the end of medical school, essentially you become a physician. And after you become a physician, then you automatically go into internship. So you do your internship for about a year. And then afterwards, actually after your internship year, you now start to, you now move on to what area of specialty that you wanted to work in. And I decided to choose pediatrics, and for me, I also got the opportunity to practice in other countries. I actually practiced in the Caribbean as well for quite a number of years before moving into residency in pediatrics, where I got the opportunity to train in pediatrics at Albert Einstein in New York, which was a great experience. And we did it was a 3-year course, a three-year program, intense, I should add, very intense program. And voila, I became a pediatrician. And I tell folks, well, if I could do it, then anyone can do it.
Yeah, so what were some challenges you had to face to get to where you are today?
That's a very deep question. It depends on how much time you have. But I think there were some hurdles. I was quite fortunate, I would say, because I was able to have a good grasp academically, which served me well in my early years of schooling. I was able to get good grades and things like that. And as I recall, I didn't have to work so hard in order to get good grades, so to speak. And to be honest, it kind of gave me an illusion of, I would say, whether it's competence, so to speak. So when I did start medical school, the pace was different. And I'll never forget, I always remember a time it was in one of the earlier pre-med years, and we were being taught physiology. And we had a test in physiology, and I failed that test. And it was literally the first time I was failing a test in my life. So it gave me a good dose of humble pie. I was quite shocked, and I realized that I needed to change my pace and work harder. And that was what I decided to do, to now study more, work harder, and maintain my grades. And the reality of that also speaks into life itself, in the sense that what do we do when we face challenges? For many of us, it becomes almost like a kind of revelation of the depth of our character sometimes, in essence, in the sense that you face a challenge, you realize something is harder than you envisaged, and then you have two options. Option one is to dig in and work hard, realize what you need in order to pull through and get it done. And also, unfortunately, option two is to give up and say, well, you know what, this is just too hard. And I think because this interview is directed at the younger generation, I think it's important to highlight the importance of challenges. The reality is that when we are not challenged, we don't grow. When we don't face difficulty, we don't grow. That the importance is having a growth mindset, whereby we have the capacity to adjust ourselves in order to meet the expectations of the challenge that's in front of us. And also, we get to experience the reward when we overcome that challenge. As someone will put it, they'll say that if you don't pay the price, you can win the prize. And I'll tell anyone who listens that it's important to do hard things. We all have to do hard things, so that any young person listening, at any time in your life, you need to be doing a hard thing or hard things. And those are prerequisites to you growing and moving forward.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of the younger generation, my last question for you is, if you had some advice for aspiring pediatricians, what would you say?
I would say we need more people like you. We need more people to care for the young. And if the gray hairs I have are anything to go by, that means that my own time is running out. So it's a great field. I will encourage anyone to join. And I would also add that for me, I also have had the opportunity to be a part of serving the needs of children in underserved countries. I think it's actually been perhaps one of the best parts of being a pediatrician, being able to work in other countries, see children that are in desperate need from families facing very significant economic challenges, and being able to meet their needs to save the lives of babies who are in danger, and to care for babies whose families are underserved, has also been an important and very fulfilling part for me of being a pediatrician and ultimately serving humanity.
All right, so thanks. That's all the questions I have for you. Thanks again for taking some time in your busy schedule and taking part in this.
No, it's my pleasure, Julia. Thank you so much.